Shalom and greetings, Bnei Yisrael. My name is Tal, and in this video I will be discussing the 7th month, Chodesh HaShevi'i, informally known as Ethanim. Just a recap again, that the celestial bodies are used to reckon time. I realize that I sounded like a stuck record with these presentations on the months, but there is a reason for that. Father asked us to observe the celestial bodies to reckon time and not just leave something up to a calendar. And just to reiterate, Elohim created the sun, moon, and stars to determine time. Their movement and/or visibility to the naked eye determine the length of time for the day, which is 24 plus hours, the week, which is 7 days, the year, which is 365 plus days, and help us to discern when the Moadim will occur, including the month. We find this in the book of Bereshit or Genesis during the creation narrative of the 4th day. And Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens, heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, ototh, and for seasons, moadim, and for days, yamim, and years, shanim. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth," and it was so. And Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. That reading was taken from Bereshit or Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 through 19. And just a reminder that the beginning of every month, the Rosh Chodesh, the head of the month, is one of the Moadim. It is a Moed, an appointed time that was commanded by our Heavenly Father for the nation of Israel to observe. And just a recap of the months of the Hebrew calendar, the biblical calendar in their proper biblical order. The moon was used to track the months. We were supposed to use all the celestial bodies to track time, but the moon was specifically used to track months. And in this video, we'll be focusing on the 7th lunar month. The informal name given to that month, or the condition, is Ethanim. And that condition means perpetual, the context of streams of water. On the civil calendar, the 7th month actually occupies the 1st position on the civil calendar and occurs in the fall and occurs anywhere between September and October on the Gregorian calendar. And just a reminder, if you want to take a look at a source for the ancient pre-exilic calendar month names, a good source for this is the chapter, The Phoenician Punic Minology by Roger R. Stieglitz in the book, Boundaries of the Ancient Near Eastern World, a tribute to Cyrus H. Gordon. There I have the ISBN numbers. This book is available on Amazon.com, so that you will not have sticker shock. The price may be prohibitive. The 7th month, or Chodesh HaShevi'i, is the 7th month of the biblical year and the 1st month of the civil year on the Hebrew calendar. Some very significant days and feasts are observed in the 7th month. We have the Moadim of Yom Teruah, or the Day of Blasts, or the Day of Trumpets. We have Yom HaKippur, Kippurim, or the Day of Atonements. We have Hag HaAsif, also known as Sukkot, which is the Festival of Ingathering, or the Festival of Tabernacles. And we have Yom Shemini, or Shemini Atzeret. Yom Shemini, its original name, which means the eighth day, and is known more modernly now as the eighth day of assembly. The seventh month is a time of reflection for the nation of Israel. We do some serious self-evaluation, supplication, and celebration during this month. As I mentioned before, the informal name for the seventh month on the Hebrew calendar was Ethanim, or Ethanim. The word Ethanim is of Canaanite Phoenician origin, which means perpetual streams. Ethanim is first mentioned in the scriptures in 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 2. Ethanim continued to be the name for the seventh month until the Babylonian captivity. And just a reminder that the Hebrews and the Bnei Israel conquered the Canaanites and the Phoenicians and imposed upon them language, culture, reckoning of time. Therefore, the Canaanites, the Phoenicians, and the Bnei Israel, or Hebrews, spoke the same language. They used the same writing script. They used the same calendar, and therefore had the same names for the calendar months of the year. Just a reminder that on the Hebrew calendar, a new month, or the head of the month, Rosh Chodesh, begins with the sighting of the new moon, and the new moon is the first visible crescent moon, the sliver, that indicates the beginning of a new lunar cycle. Concerning the civil year, it is the tradition, it was the tradition and still is, the many ancient Near Eastern cultures held that the arrival of the new moon of the seventh month marked the beginning of the civil year. We know the Babylonians did this. What occurs in the seventh month, the new moon of the seventh month marked their new year. And it sort of makes sense. Well, I won't say it makes sense, but I can understand because the tradition holds that the world was created during the seventh month. That's a tradition. And if you look at the natural, in the seventh month, you're doing the planting, you're doing sowing for you to reap in the spring. The seed time must precede the harvest. However, our Heavenly Father commanded the nation of Israel to begin the year in the spring. So yes, in the natural, seed time always precedes harvest. The fall is the seed time, and the harvest is in the spring. But our Heavenly Father commanded the nation of Israel to begin the year in the spring on the first day of Abib, and that is the directive that we follow. The month of Ethanim lasts 30 days and occurs in the fall, anywhere from September to October on the Gregorian calendar. We do not celebrate the beginning of the seventh month as the beginning of the year. That we do in the spring. Again, so we know the informal name of the seventh month on the Hebrew calendar was Ethanim. During the Babylonian captivity, however, the name of the seventh month was changed to Tishrei. The word Tishrei is from the Akkadian word Tasritu, meaning beginning. As I mentioned on the previous slide, many Near Eastern cultures of the ancient Near Eastern cultures held the belief that the year began in the fall. And exactly what prompted the Babylonian captivity? Well, we knew that the nation of Israel fell into sin. Our Heavenly Father was very angry with them. The Babylonians came in and took over, and for a while, the people could stay in the land. However, and King Nebuchadnezzar actually appointed a governor, Gedaliah. Well, and Gedaliah was doing well as a governor. But when certain members of the royal house of Yehudah decided to assassinate Gedaliah, who was the governor of Yehudah, King Nebuchadnezzar responded or retaliated and sent the Babylonian army to destroy Jerusalem and take the elite captive. This incident prompted the Babylonian captivity, the exile. Moving on, the 7th month, and Ethanim and the fruit harvest. The agricultural calendar, as I said before, began in the 7th month. In the 7th month, you were beginning to sow the seed in the land. This was the seed time. As the previous year's harvest was winding down, farmers in ancient Israel prepared the land for next year's harvest. The 7th months were the time when they were putting the seed in the ground, specifically for the grain harvest. During the 7th month, or Ethanim, certain fruit crops were still being harvested. They were still harvesting the olive and the dates in the 7th month, well into the late fall. The winding down of the harvest season the winding down of the harvest season during the 7th month became known as the final ingathering. That's why we have the festival of ingathering, or Hag HaAsif, in the 7th month. This was the final ingathering of that year's harvest. And during the 7th month, again, you're preparing the land for next year's harvest. And just a reminder that during the 7th month, farmers in ancient Israel began plowing the land in preparation for sowing seed for the next harvest season in the following spring and summer. Crops planted during the fall included grain crops, barley, wheat, and oats. And the 7th month, or Ethanim, ushered in the early or former rains of the rainy season, during which seeds in the ground relied on the rains for sustenance to grow and mature into viable crops. It is therefore the tradition in the nation of Israel to pray for rain during the 7th month so that the crops could grow out of the ground. Just a reminder that the former rains occur in the fall because it marks the beginning of the rainy season. This is when the rains are heavy in the nation of Israel. The latter rains occur in the spring. That's when the rains are tapering off to give way to dew to sustain the crop to the harvest. You don't want the heavy rains in the spring because this crop might spoil. So you pray for dew in the spring, rain in the fall. And just again, we can see why the cultures in the area took the fall to mark the beginning of the year, because the seed time occurred in the fall. However, just a reminder, our Heavenly Father told us to start the year in the spring. And now just to look at some of the Moadim, or fast days, that occurred during the 7th month. Just to recap, during the 7th month, the Ethanim, the Bnei Israel, observed the following Moadim and fast days. First one, Yom Teruah, which is the first of Ethanim, and that actually occurs on a Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month. Then we have Zom HaShevi'i, the fast of the 7th month. It is typically observed on the 3rd day of Ethanim. And why do we have that fast? That fast commemorates the assassination of Gedaliah, governor of Yehudah. It was that incident that prompted Nebuchadnezzar to send the Babylonian army to destroy Jerusalem and the Holy Temple. The next Moed that we have is Yom HaKippurim, or Day of Atonements, and that occurs on the 10th day of the 7th month, or the 10th day of Ethanim. Next, on the 15th through the 21st day of Ethanim, we have Hag HaAsif, also known as the Festival of Ingathering. It's also called Sukkot, or Tabernacles. Then we have Yom Shemini or Shemini Atzeret. Yom Shemini means the 8th day, Shemini Atzeret, 8th day of assembly as it was known later, and that occurs on the 22nd day of Ethanim. And now some notable events in Bnei Israel history which occurred during the 7th month. The tradition is that the creation of the world occurred during the 7th month. While the scriptures don't give us exact dates of when the creation occurred, that is the tradition. The assassination of Gedaliah, the Babylon-appointed governor of Yehuda, which prompted King Nebuchadnezzar to dispatch more troops to destroy our capital city, Jerusalem. We don't know on what day that it actually occurs. Some traditions say the 1st of the month. And as a result, even though it's not mandatory, but the house of Yehuda imposed a fast on the 3rd of the month to commemorate that huge blunder on the part of the Yehudim. If they had not assassinated Gedaliah, Nebuchadnezzar would have left them alone. On the 1st day of the 7th month, Ezra read the Torah before the congregation of returning exiles in Jerusalem. Again, on the 1st day of the 7th month, it was a resumption of burnt offerings in Jerusalem after the return of exiles from Babylon. This would have been a Yom Teruah. On the 10th day of the 7th month, Moses returned from his second 40-day sojourn on Mount Sinai, bearing the second set of tablets of the 10 Commandments and forgiveness from Yehovah for the sin of the golden calf. Someday during the feast of Sukkot, from the 15th to the 22nd days of the 7th month, or Ethanim, the men of Israel assembled themselves with King Solomon for the feast of the 7th month. The only feast of the 7th month is Hag HaAsif, or also known as Sukkot. Yom Teruah is not a feast. Yom HaKippurim is not a feast. They are days. They are solemn days. But anything that says Hag, that's a festival. On the 21st day of the 7th month, Hananiah the false prophet dies. This was 2 months after the Almighty pronounced a death sentence on him. That's the price of false prophecy. You're either right or you're dead. Again, on this 21st day of the 7th month, the Almighty gives a word of prophecy to Haggai, encouraging the builders, rebuilding the Holy Temple after the exile. And with that being said, please like and share our videos and subscribe to our channel. Please click on the notification bell to receive notifications when we post new videos. Please also visit our website at byinitiative.com. Thanks for watching.